NHL Nightly with your host, the sportsman, a.k.a. Beer Lebowski, a.k.a. Jeremiah Maxwell. And with him, as always, maybe Perlo Wisdom and Rico in Barry.
Hey, what's up, everybody? A little midnight stream for y'all. Midnight on the East Coast, 8 p.m. for me here in Alaska. Gonna break some news. We've got some news happening in the NHL free agency. The big starting off, Patrick Kane re-signed with the Red Wings. I'll get those details for you. Sam Steele just signed a deal with the Dallas Stars, returning, I think, $1.2 million. Purse Frank Saravelli of Daily Faceoff, as I'm repping his company. I'm going to be repping his tweets. Midnight has now passed. Florida Panthers must have registered a contract with the NHL registry by 11/59/59 in order to sign Sam Reinhart to the 8-year extension. So anybody that has anybody on their roster to get that 8-year deal, we're getting some people popping in, some diehard. Salty, what's up, buddy? We're getting some diehard fans coming in. Sam Steele's deal was 1.2 after Dallas didn't do the qualifying offer. Big news in Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, happy Sunday, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. So I don't have the Patrick Kane details yet. I haven't seen the specifics, but I'll get them to you. Some trades happened. Jonathan Kovacevic was traded from the Habs to the Devils for a 4th-round pick. That happened about 6 hours ago. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Florida and Sam Reinhart. I guess he's going to be a free agent here, and he might be the biggest ticket free agent now that it looks like Gensel deal might be done too. So Sean Durzi signed a 4-year deal. 4 years, $24 million, $6 million AAV. And then in 2026, a 10-team no trade clause kicks in. Avi, Jake DeBrusk going to Oilers tomorrow is going to be nuts with, I totally agree, man. It's going to be interesting here. I'm going to tweet out that I'm live. Let anybody know. I'd love to hear from you guys. I love the draft from the Capitals' perspective, Salty. Don't know about the first pick, but liked everything else they did. The trades, I mean, the fact that they got they got Hudson for basically Beck Malenstein is a pretty good deal there. So get a little. All right, there we go. A bunch of players not qualified either. I was kind of surprised. Hold on, J-Dub. I think it's all right with the. I mean, I think it's a bummer you didn't sign Gensel, but it's not a big. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Okay, let me just tweet this out, guys. Apologize. I did this on a whim. I'm sitting here just going like over my phone and all that stuff. So fine not with qualifying the players in Columbus. Yeah, Catherine, I think Boquist, I think the writing was on the wall there. Both Quist brothers weren't qualified. Doesn't mean they won't be back. Hey, Lucy. Hey, Lucy, how's it going? Good to see you. We're getting a great fan base for this channel, man. It's small, but it's good, and I love it. So I'll be monitoring the Twitter. We'll be talking about it. Patrick Kane tweeted out that he'd be back for another year. So that's going to be interesting. Of course, the players involved in the Hockey Canada scandal with the sexual assault, they were all not tendered or qualified. They'll all be UFAs. I doubt any one of those gets signed until their case is over. I mean, we might see those guys back in the NHL, but So I know a bunch of stuff is just breaking as we were saying. I expect a few things to come out here. We're gonna hear some stuff very soon, especially like Reinhardt. We're gonna know. It's midnight on July 1st. You know where 57 Skinner Reinhardt is. Stephen Wino, I love it. We're all up. It's not late for me, guys. So get 22 people in here, man. So let's see. I'm live on Twitter too, so it should be live on X, live on Insta. And I had Insta up. Let's close that just in case we get. Oh yeah, we got Logan, we got Sobolski. Stamkos is gone, brother. I hate to tell you. Sobolski's on the Instagram. And I love Avi thinks Jake. I don't mind DeBrusk. I just wonder, Avi, I don't think the Oilers have a ton of cap space. So it's going to be hard there. Time for you to go to bed and wake up for free agency day, Logan. Guess what, Logan? Free agency day started 10 minutes ago. And that's where we're going to see some of these deals, I think, popping off right now. So you could hit the hay, my man. I understand. It's late. It should be summer break for you, though. Yeah, I want to joke. Oh, yeah, Catherine, I totally understand it. It's Sunday night. Everybody's got to work tomorrow. And I totally get it. But some of us are trying to do this for a living. So I said, hey, hell with it. I know hockey. Hot take hockey says. Line and Ellers to Carolina. LO. Maybe. I mean, J-Dub, I don't hate those moves. Carolina could probably get those guys at a discounted rate. So, okay, here's the deal on Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane is signing a 1-year, $4 million deal with a 2.5 possibility in bonuses. So, yeah. So, Caber, I understand. It actually starts at one. If paperwork wasn't dropped, there are teams that could have signed their players. So it started right now. It started. Yeah, I got you, Logan. I appreciate you. Good to have you and Salty in here, our mods. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm just looking for information that's coming out. We're going to start seeing stuff official. It's officially the first. The deals can get done now. So I understand when it comes on television. But, and that's like 8 a.m. here. So I wanted to see the big one was if Reinhardt signed, we'll know. So we'll see. Yeah. John, I just wanted to get on because there was so much stuff going on in the free agency stuff. And I'm sitting here on my phone on my couch just reading. Yeah, but we have guys that are not signing with their team. So, yep, we got Hot Take Hockey in the house. That's for sure. One of the hardest working men on here. So, and I didn't see anybody else going live. So I was like, well, let's see what's happening. So the Gensel deal that hasn't been done. We haven't reported that either. I think if that deal's done, we would have had news. If that deal's not done, he's not getting that extra 8 year. What is he going live? Ken Dog, nice to see you on Instagram. So there's going to be some things here. Oh, no, here we go. 37 minutes ago, the Tampa Bay Lightning have reportedly agreed to terms with forward Jake Grenville on a 7-year contract with an average annual value rumored to be around $9.25 million. The move has sparked discussion about the future of Lightning Steven Stamkos, with speculation that the team might not be able to afford both players. Gensel's addition is seen as a significant boost to Tampa Bay's offensive capabilities, particularly on the power play. It's kind of like the rich is getting richer. Yeah, Domi to the Leafs. I like that deal for the Leafs, 3.75. Does look like, though, Nick Robertson's demanded a trade for Toronto, and they're probably not going to be able to re-sign Bertuzzi. I heard somewhere in the Western Conference That's probably what you guys are reading. That's what I'm seeing, but I don't know the team. Edmonton would be interesting too. So Gensel could get 8 years because they traded for his rights, I believe. Could they not? Or is he? Oh, he could only get 7? Why could he only get 7? Thank you, Enrico. Appreciate you. Stammer to the Preds, maybe. Yeah, Avi, I keep hearing that. I think Red Wings are a big likelihood too, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what's happening. All right. Just wanted to see what else is maybe dropping because we're gonna see. I'm really curious about the Reinhardt thing. Oh, a cat-friendly tweet explains it. Okay. All right. I'll check it out. Or you can drop it in the link there and I'll pull it up, Logan, if you want. Just wanting to see what else is happening out there in the free agency. I'll probably go live here for an hour. Again, it's not late for me. So about 45 more minutes just to see if any more news trickulates out. Edmonton. Just some stuff. Okay. I'm not seeing anything direct. Yeah, really surprised that Florida didn't come to a deal with Reinhardt. That's kind of a surprise. I thought that deal would get done. I mean, Luke, Gino, Johnson, let's go Red Wings. Red Wings fans got to be stoked. I saw Rangers fans getting really upset that they weren't on Kane. I didn't think he fit really well there. I don't know. The Brat Pack, who up freeing the agent? Gonna be interesting here. All right. It's always better when I have Rico and Perlo and stuff. Ray Bro. Hey Ray Bro. Good to see you, man. So sorry the Oilers didn't get it done, man, but I do think they could win it. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting, Caper Boy. You can go if you don't want to be here. I appreciate it. That's why we're here talking. I want to see what comes out tonight about players, and it does, just because they didn't sign. We hear stuff. Stuff comes out, so you're going to get stuff released. Word late tonight that things are looking positive for a contract to get done between Sam Reinhart and the Florida Panthers. That was 22 minutes ago from Pierre LeBrun. So. Yes, Raybro was the first one on Evan Bouchard years ago saying he wanted to see him play. Raybro, we got to have you back on and talk some of the draft things. That'd be good if you got time. I know you got school and stuff. So, all right, man. I appreciate you though, Caper Boy. You know, come on here with your real name and your face and everything, and you set the record straight. Thanks for being an insider. I appreciate it. You have Frank Saravelli's number in your phone? Oh, you don't? Okay, well, I do. There might be some stuff that comes out, buddy. So I get it. Tampering and all. I want to know if the players that are still with their teams, we didn't hear anything about Reinhardt. Just because we didn't hear it doesn't mean it hasn't happened yet. So we'll see. I want to see. This is why we're here. Yeah, drop in. Hey, Brandon, how are you doing? Drop in what you think, where you think somebody will go. Yes, I would love to have you on. I could drop you a link if you want to come on tonight. We could do a little draft talk. Yeah, I would love to do it, man. If I drop you a link in Twitter, just let me know if you're available or you want to come on unadulterated. Just give us your opinions while we're waiting for maybe some stuff to happen. The Reinhardt one for me is really that's a scratcher, so I appreciate it. If we get some information there, I've seen a lot of Sarah Sivian fighting with people on Twitter about so Yes, you were day one Bouchard fan, man. And yeah, now they're gonna have to pay him, unfortunately, too, right? They're gonna have to pay him. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. I saw Brian McClellan say for the Capitals that they were staying in Vegas for the entire duration of the free agency and stuff, not moving their team and everything, just working from the hotel and all that. So, Bucci putting some stuff out. Let's see. Yeah, and as Frank said 17 minutes ago, the contract is being registered with Central Registry by 11:59 Eastern in order for Sam to sign an 8-year deal. So let me Ray Bro, are you on? Give me a thumbs up in the chat. I got you. Here, I'll drop you the link if you want to pop in and we can talk a little post draft if you want. I know it's not that late for you in Edmonton, so hold on. I will DM you. I don't drop the link in the chat anymore, so if you want to come on, you gotta give me your Twitter handle, and so I put it on Mr. Tubek, and you can give us some thoughts of the draft. I saw a lot of draft grades. A lot of people across the board were pretty consistent about the only person I saw that didn't like some of the things that other teams did. I was you dropped the cap friendly tweet. Okay, let me see if I can get it. I don't know if that worked for me, Logan. I'm sorry. Let me I'll pull it up here, Logan. We'll be able to pull it up. And I'll put it on the screen. You have cap friendly for 5 more days. By the way, we have almost 50 people, 55 people between Twitter, Instagram, and X. So there are a lot of people that wanted to come on. So, and here. So it'll be good. Let's see. Friendly. Every pending UFA has now been set to unsign on cap friendly in preparation for tomorrow's free agency day. To see all the links below, click there. Was that what you sent me, Logan? I think. Yep. Okay. That was, they tweeted that about an hour ago. So I know they're not tied direct into Central Registry, but what's up, Bacon? I'm shocked Cap's making moves. Yeah, so Abby, they're trying to stay competitive with Ovi on the roster, yet while rebuilding, and they've done a good job of that. They made the decision last year, the season before last, to not go to the playoffs. A lot of their fans were like, "Look, it's time to tear this down a little bit, start trading off some of these middling players that will do some good." So, the specific one on Gensel. Oh, okay. I will find that. Why he couldn't sign. I guess that makes sense. Okay, Gensel. The Shane Pinto thing's real easy for me too. Yeah, you're fine. Jose, I really hope Dallas doesn't do anything in free agency again, but the cap situation, it's inevitable. Well, Jose, they did re-sign Sam Steele, $1.2 million, so that's good. And it does look like they're bringing back Duchesne. I read that. Looks like we'll see that. So Sharks re-signed for John Hayden. That came out. If you guys missed that was about 7 hours ago. Yeah. Frank Saravelli. I'm getting to it, Logan. I'll pull it up here in just a second. Let's Stars will run back the same team besides Joe. Well, that and probably Tanev, right? And also with the Dallas Stars, you're probably looking at no Ryan Suter, right? Because they bought him out. They're not going to obviously re-sign him. They bought him out. They're not bringing him back. I don't think they can even do that. I think if you buy a player out, you're restricted from bringing him back. Nate Schmidt was unclaimed. Mangiapane, yeah, Mangiapane, Bacon. Mangiapane, much better two-way player. You know, maybe a little bit of a high cap hit there because of that 35-goal season. Yeah, I'm at 12 hours here. They put out a lot at 12 hours here. Edmonton Oilers buy out Jack Campbell. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised, Jose, the Dallas Stars didn't draft. Yeah, I agree with that, Lawrence Frazier. Lawrence, that's an excellent point. Lawrence says on the draft, Emily Kaplan says 80% of the free agents are done and will be allowance early on. That's sometimes how it's been working in the past, and that makes sense. But I do think some of these bigger name guys might take a few days, might take a few weeks. We may not see anything. So Jake Gensel is eligible. Okay, here we go. I got this for you, Logan, and I got to put this on the screen for everybody. So I eat words. I was surprised. I didn't realize this was the deal, but let's pop this up here so everybody can see from Cap Friendly. Enjoy it while you got it. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. All right. Oh, okay. So he would have had to sign the deal beforehand. Okay. 8 years required to be done with teams reserve on the reserve list. Okay, what else? All right, that didn't work. Why is it not? Okay. Yeah. All right. Hey, Will, I got a special surprise for everybody. We got Mr. Ryan Tubeck.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going?
I'm not doing too bad. Not too bad at all.
You got to be bummed. I know it sure looked like the Oilers meant a lot to the city this year. I know that was tough for you guys, but I feel like you'll be back, and as soon as maybe next year, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I see that, we've made a lot of improvements throughout the year. I didn't expect us to go all the way, especially after the start we had. So I'm excited for what we're going to do in the free agency tomorrow. So
yeah, where are they at with cap space, Ray, bro? Give us a little update.
So they bought out
Jack. Yeah, but that's going to be a hit regardless, right?
Well, it's going to give us some cap relief,
flexibility.
Yeah. So around 12 million in cap space, and
our friend John Vivero says, 12 million. Okay, a little more. So would you like to see a guy like Jake DeBrusk, Edmonton guy?
Oh, yeah. Jake DeBrusk is someone I like to see sign on our team. I like to see us trade for Nick Robertson. I think he doesn't want to be in Toronto anymore. So if we can get a deal going, that's
our friend Bacon says Nick Robertson is a flame on cue with you. Oh yeah, I love it. So like besides Nick Robertson, who's a guy you'd love to see them add?
I think Arvidsson. There's been talks to Arvidsson.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, that would be a nice add.
That's a nice add. But I think mostly it's just probably rounding out our defensive core. I mean, that's probably one of the bigger, hotter topics of the Oilers so far, especially of how bad Nurse has been, especially during the playoffs.
Our friend HGH says Nick Robertson, Broberg, final offer.
I don't know because Broberg had a pretty good.
No, they're not trading Broberg. They are not trading Broberg. There's absolutely no.
I think Broberg has probably solidified his spot just based on how he played. Ever since he's got into a lineup, he's played fantastic. He's probably one of the better Oilers defense after the Dallas series for sure.
Catherine Craig is correct. She says with them going to the final, it's going to easily be to sell them on free agents. And I say this too.
For sure.
Yep. You have a healthy Draisaitl that's over your shoulder there, and you have a healthy Evander Kane. Those things could make big differences in the playoffs for you there down this stretch,
Especially the injury reports we had with Draisaitl and McDavid being having the injuries he had, where it's
What
just
did McDavid have? I saw nothing from McDavid.
he had a core surgery or something like that. Like he had something
Oh.
around the core muscle area that he needed surgery for. So the fact that he's played how he played and still, like he needed to get surgery and to play how he's played is just.
I thought
amazing.
McDavid no surgery for McDavid. I heard that he was
That's what I saw on Twitter. So I think he's getting surgery, but I think he should be back 100% next season.
Oh, I heard no surgery for McDavid. Somebody correct us if we're
Yeah,
wrong.
I don't know if I'm wrong or not. That's
Bacon
what I
says to
saw.
buy out Nurse. He thinks you guys should buy out Nurse. Nurse got to leave. I think too many turnovers. I thought Nurse played pretty good down the stretch for them, honestly.
I personally, from what I saw,
The first two rounds not good,
Yeah,
but
not good.
But in the finals he played pretty good.
I don't know. I can't really say that because like the first 3 games were terrible. I know there were some goals that Florida has where he was not on his guy. He was just puck watching.
Okay.
So
what do you think of what John says here in the chat? He says our friend John Viveros, Hot Take Hockey. Shout out Hot Take Hockey, 60,000 followers. It's incredible. Nurse and Burgol for Josh Anderson. What do you think? Because you get rid of you get a lot of space there.
We get a lot of space, and I don't know.
Pull the trigger there. Would you pull the trigger? So it's Jim Jackson. What's the name of the president that's doing the GM duties?
Jeff Jackson.
Jeff Jackson. Sorry.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is that they're probably going to keep Nurse. Hopefully, he's improved enough in his game where we can trade him later down the line. That's what we're banking on. But Anderson, he's a guy. I don't know where to really play him.
Yeah, I mean, dude. I mean, even with him making the kind of money he makes, you could play him in the bottom 4 there. I mean, he's a big body, and he could put the puck in the net. So,
but I don't know if Montreal takes that though.
I think our friend HDH is trolling because now he's like,
yeah.
Zane Perret for McDavid. Bacon says he'll do that. Trade.
Oh, easy trade. Easy trade.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, too. I heard a lot of people think that if Edmonton won the Cup, you might have seen a exit of Draisaitl and McDavid. Maybe they would have said, oh, we did our job. We can leave. So would you agree with that? Do you think that they would be more apt to have left in free agency in a couple of years? I know Draisaitl only has 1 year left on his deal. They got to be thinking that, too.
I mean, obviously, I'm not McDavid or Draisaitl, so I don't know what's going on in their heads.
Oh, just what your thoughts.
But maybe McDavid, maybe after if he wins the Cup, he's like, oh, I got to go back to Toronto and win it for the hometown team. But no, I just think that Draisaitl and McDavid love Edmonton. They have grown accustomed to the city and they liked it. So I don't see them moving. I think I see them as longtime Oilers players, but I'm no mind reader, so we just gotta wait and see for sure.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of movement on the front too. So I brought you on for a reason. Do you want to just go pick by pick? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can do that. Let me just pull up the
and just everybody understand. Ryan works for what's the name of the website you work for?
Yeah, I worked for Recruit Scouting.
Recruit Scouting. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, and we're just gonna do the first round. We could. We don't have time to do everything. I said we would stay on for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping some more information comes out. We might see a Sam Reinhart deal that it got dropped at the 0 hour, but we'll see. Vivero said he wasn't trolling until the last tweet, the CC one. But he said the other ones. Yeah. Also, he said Blake Coleman for Connor Sheary in a second. That could happen. I know they're trying to maybe make some more moves. Coleman, Paul Essamont could be a good third line. Yep. They probably would love to bring Coleman back. I think Coleman makes a pretty decent wage there, though. Okay. Yes. I'm trying to get a decent list. So obviously the consensus number 1, Macklin Celebrini, no brainer, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm hearing comparisons to Sidney Crosby and Jonathan Taves. If he's in between those two players, you're talking about a generational talent. So I don't see how you give them a bad grade on that one. What did you think of Chicago going Artem Lesanov, the defenseman from Michigan State?
I think there's been rumblings. I know Levshinov had a lot of draft meetings beforehand. Chicago has interviewed him a lot, so I wasn't really surprised that Levshinov was going to go second to Chicago. Do I agree with it? Probably not, because Demidov is probably the next best player on my list. And him with I was going to say McDavid with Bedard would be really good. I mean, either way, Chicago's like forward core this draft, they draft really well, so it's not really much of a loss here. But Levshinov, you're gonna get a guy who's gonna play on the top four. He plays a high tempo game. He's good in the neutral zone in terms of passing. I don't know how much of his offense will translate to the NHL as it is in college, but he's gonna be a guy who's gonna be serviceable on the top pair for whoever you play, whether it be Korchinski or Vlasic. So I think it's a fine pick. I don't think it's a reach here.
Yeah. I think that was okay. So the big shock, I think a lot of people, everybody except for Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff, because he was 5 for 5 in his first 5 picks in the draft. Shout out Stephen Ellis. I can't sing that guy's praises enough. He does what you do, Ray Bro, except for he's a little bit older and been doing a little bit longer. He had Beckett Seneca going to Anaheim at 3. What do you think there?
Anaheim is really banking on Seneca's second half of his OHL year, because his first half wasn't really remarkable, but you could also argue that he was just kind of, get into his body, because he had a huge growth spurt. He was around like 5'9".
Yeah.
He shot up to like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, I think he's 6'3". Yep.
Yeah, so it's a major adjustment for a player like that to, be comfortable with his body. So once he started getting going, he's been one of the better players in the OHL by far. Like his hands, he's one of the silkiest. He has one of the silkiest hands in the OHL. His playmaking ability, his vision is solid. His skating ability with the puck, he's just silky smooth. He's like a snake. So I think Anaheim is really just looking at his second half and saying, just banking on that is what they're going to get with Seneca. So is it a reach? Maybe. Like, honestly, it's a toss-up, because you could probably draft a guy like, Berkeley Cannon at that spot, who's been more consistent throughout his whole season this year.
HTH is chiming in. He says, Leshkov is more mobile than Parayko. Demidov could be like Kaprizov. Yeah, it's going to be real interesting, man, to see how these guys pan out. And I think a lot of teams now are drafting for potential over what the player is today. They're doing a little bit better job projecting, and I think we saw a lot of that in the draft this year. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, that's what you are trying to get out at the end of the day. This draft isn't for drafting players that you're gonna like. You're not drafting players that you see now and be like, they're going to be in the NHL right now. You're drafting NHL players that are going to be NHL players who are going to be guys who are going to produce for your team moving forward. Some teams have done a great job in, looking at, the skills and talents that some of these kids have, and other teams are really reaching. I know there's some bigger reaches late in the first that I kind of disagreed with there. So.
Well, but that's probably when it's okay to reach, right? Later in the third, or later in the first, later in rounds,
It depends, because there's some players we'll get to them, but there's some players that should not have been the first.
Well, and I'll say this too, though, there are GMs that are drafting guys in the first round that know they're not going to be anything better than a third line guy, but they will make the NHL, which is great to know you're getting them. Yeah, but it's also like if you miss out on a generational guy. So yeah, I'm not worried about Demidov. I think he's going to be fine. Again, some of these Russian guys we're not going to see right away anyway. Maybe sooner than later though, like what happened with Mishkov. Yeah. I mean, again, I remember reading Mishkov could be 1A to Bedard, like that could be. So what did you think of Caden Lindstrom from the Blue Jackets? Our friend Catherine Craig is in the chat. She's a diehard Blue Jackets fan. What did you
So
say?
he had an injury, a hernia injury this year that kind of sidelined him out for the season. But whenever I've seen him play, he's done wonders for the Medicine Hat team. I'm just looking at my notes here. Like, he's a great power forward.
Yeah.
He knows how to use his body well. He likes to be physical with the puck. Whenever he plays with Andrew Basha, his teammate, they complement each other really well. And he
He
gets
went late
into,
in the draft to Calgary, right?
yeah,
So he
to
would have
Calgary
loved
in
to
the
go.
I think early in the second, actually. I think
Yeah, real
around
quick, Saravelli just tweeted, and looks like Vegas is moving on from Jonathan Marchessault. The Gold Knights are positioning themselves to take a run at Steven Stamkos on Monday, should he hit the market. Can firmly rule out one last push from Tampa Bay. That's from Saravelli direct. Yeah. So finish your thoughts on. Sorry. Finish your thoughts.
Yeah, so basically with Lindstrom, I see a guy who's going to be that power forward for the Blue Jackets, who's going to use his skating ability because he's great. His skating ability is really solid for his size as well. He's a guy who he kind of reminds me a bit of Byfield a little bit, just a lot more physical in terms of the puck.
Okay. Well, wow, more physical. Okay.
Yeah,
And I know
he's a
you
lot.
love Byfield.
Yeah,
That's
so
the Byfield jersey behind you, is it not?
oh, I'm trying to still get that printed on.
Okay.
I've just been very lazy to do so, but
Okay.
yeah, um, that I like Lindstrom a lot. He just needs to be a lot more selfish with the puck. He gives it a lot. He's eager to get rid of it a lot more easier. I've seen. So he just needs to be a little more selfish and get more of those prime shooting opportunities. And I think personally I project him more as a winger than a center, but it depends on how Columbus wants to slot him in there because you obviously got like Fantilli there as well.
Real quick, let's answer this question from Jose because we are talking free agency and we're going to see some news pipe out, and that's what happened. We just saw the news about Jonathan Marchessault not going back and that they're taking a run. See, I told you there'd be news. Who's the best defenseman currently on the available in free agency? I know the market is really bad. I have ever seen since Sherratt got a first. Yeah, so I'll say two that come to mind real quick. Montour. I've heard Utah in the mix there. Pesce is going to go to New Jersey. I feel like he's almost ruled out. He's from that area. He's been trying to sign. I'll also say I like Brady Shea. I think Brady Shea is a little bit older, but still probably got 3 or 4 good years. Can you imagine if Edmonton could add a player like Brady Shea?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, they were looking at Sean Walker at the deal, but ended up deciding with Henrique and Carrick. A little bit butthurt about that, but I can't complain because you went.
I actually thought Henrique was really, really good for you. I thought Carrick was solid when he got a chance to play. I felt like Knobloch didn't have a lot of faith in Carrick. He didn't put him in the lineup a lot. And I don't know that was necessarily on Carrick. Yeah. Okay. HTH, we love you. I'm not asking him that question. Let's go on to number 5, Davidoff to Montreal. Yeah. Boy, Montreal looks good. They just continue to do well, I think. What do you think there?
Yeah, Demidov is a guy that you're going to get everything out of him. I think he's a highly dynamic player who's really good with puck skills. He just brings the pace wherever he is. He just seems to me like kind of that, Jack Hughes type player that's going to create offense. He's going to be the puck here. And I think he's going to be really well with Cole Caulfield, especially with giving him the puck a lot. He's not afraid with board battles. He can be physical when he wants to. And his two-way ability is actually not that bad either, despite him being known as the guy who's, being in charge with the offense. So it depends on, where he's playing. I know the MHL is also not the best league compared to the KHL, so we'll see where he plays there. But he's a guy with a lot of upside, and he's arguably one of the better players.
He was playing at the lower levels, and you have to understand too. The KHL is a very good league. It's very good league. It may be the second best league behind the NHL. You could argue the Swedish elite league, or but I really think it's up there. So they have a minor league system too. That's what that MHL is. So Saravelli just tweeted something out real quick. Let's see what he had to say. Hold on. Just he tweeted another thing. In addition, Vegas and Preds are beat to believe in the mix of Stamkos, along with potentially Let's Go Red Wings, LA Kings, and New Jersey Devils. Fascinating market. This is 6 seconds ago from Frank Saravelli. Avi says, Cole Iverson going to be fun to watch at BU. Hudson is going to move pop-up games all season. BC, Ryan Leonard, Gabe, Perot really coming back. Yes. Yeah, those guys are coming back, Avi. They're coming back. So, okay, so 6, Tej Agenla. What did you think there? Number 6. I was a little surprised that he went there, but what did you think?
I liked TJ Gunlund. He was one of my higher end guys that I liked for the WHL rankings. He's a guy that can be the trigger man, but he's also well-rounded overall. I think he's also another guy who's great at puck distribution. He's good at puck manipulation as well. He just knows how to create space with hands, and he puts an effort in the defensive zone. I know a lot of these forwards in this draft class are not that bad defensively, actually. They put an effort into the D zone. They know that they have to, pitch in order to create offense on the other side. And I think, again, that's also one of those players that could be really good for Utah moving forward for sure.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, anybody else you want to talk about in the first round specifically? Oh, Sam Reinhart got signed, Bacon saying. I told these people, man, we were going to get information. We're going to get information tonight.
Yeah.
The Panthers did get Sam Reinhart signed per Elliot Friedman 6 seconds ago. Eat a fat baby's bleep. Whoever said to me, we weren't going to hear shit tonight. How about that? Who was the guy earlier? Hey, yeah, see you later, buddy. I told you. This stuff comes out slow, man. So, yeah, suck it, buddy. I told you that this stuff comes out, and that's what happens. We're gonna get. That makes so much sense. Avi's still mad. The Bruins beat his. The Bruins got beat by Florida 2 years running. I know, Avi. But Avi, the Bruins are going to be huge on free agency, so we're going to see what they do. Lindholm potentially. I heard Draisaitl, some of those crazy rumors. That's not happening this year anyway. Max term. What does that mean? 8 years. 8 years. Okay. 21 post. So glad we had this. Hearing Reinhart did get it. Max term 8-year deal. Yep. That's what Friedman tweeted. So yeah. Okay. All right. So you love Tej. What about Carter Yakimchuk for the Ottawa Senators?
I think Yakimchuk is a guy that I think it's a bit of a reach. Like that's one of the first bigger reaches.
Boy, don't you think real quick Ottawa continues to make the same mistakes year after year after year after year after year, and then they never understand why they never get anywhere?
I was just baffled of who they left on the board to get Yakimchuk. He's not a bad player by any means. I think he's a guy you could probably take him like after pick 15. But the fact that Ottawa takes like him at number 7 is kind of a bit shocking. But I can kind of see where they're going at. He's a physical, offensive-minded defenseman who I think is a little bit raw and unrefined at the moment with Calgary. He likes to be involved in the offensive zone. He has a good shot, good hands. There's a lot of times he's been in the highlight reel with his dirty dangles, but I think his defensive game is a problem, which it could be fixed when he's developing, but his defensive game is a problem. Whenever he has pressure on him, I've noticed that he just ices the puck more times than often. So I just call him the Iceman.
Okay. Where did he play? Refresh my mind again. This is
he played with the Hitmen of the WHL.
Okay, so you saw him quite a bit then. He was in your time zone. And for those that don't know, Mr. Tubeck, he does do some scouting work for, go ahead and say the website.
Recruit Scouting. Yeah.
Recruit Scouting. He is an Edmontonian, fellow Edmontonian. You may or may not know by the Bouchard Draisaitl thing. As long as I've known this kid, he's in college now. He was on Bouchard from day 1, 3.5 years ago. Yeah, we were talking about Bouchard.
I think like 2020. I think I was.
4 years ago. Yeah, you were in on this. So Yes. He's in the know. I love hearing his opinion on this. We're following the thing. We're following what's going on. We just heard the Sam Reinhart news. 48 minutes past the hour. So we just got done talking about the baffling pick by the Ottawa Senators at number 7 of Carter Yakimachuk. I think I said that close. What about Seattle Kraken, Berkeley Catton? The only thing I thought here is, they saw him a ton in Spokane with the Chiefs. This makes sense. I know they drafted a kid out of Everett, Washington, too, very close. Their scouts must have really gotten to dive deep on these guys and liked him. Where are you at on Berkeley Catton?
I have him on my list. I have him at number 4 for my rankings. I really like Catton. I think he's a guy that he might be up there for one of the smartest players in this draft class. His playmaking ability is just phenomenal. He knows where everyone is on the ice. He's looking for teammates to pass for high danger opportunities. And over the season, he has definitely improved on his pace of play and his middle zone play. So I could definitely see him as a center in the NHL. And I think his shot is also really solid too. He has this, sneaky quick release. This is probably one of the better picks that I've seen so far in this draft so far. I really like Catton. There's so much I can talk about Catton, but
yeah, Perlo, this is a surprise stream. I pulled it off in a minute and just decided to go live because I was sitting there looking on my phone going, okay, we're going to see news about Reinhart. We're going to see news, blah, blah, blah. We just saw news. So you're welcome to pop in. Obviously, you're an admin, so you can pop in. Our friend Ate Kaki, nice to have you in the chat again, Ate Kaki. Ryan Tubick for Jack Olson and a first pick. Okay, I love it. Okay, that's an inside Hot Take Hockey joke for all of us that are Hot Take Hockey fans, and we'll be watching his streams and stuff religiously. Yeah, that's good news about Florida fan if you're happy with that. He missed the parade today, but he had a friend's wedding to go. I said if he's a real friend, he reschedules his wedding. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Stupid wedding. So there was a question I wanted to ask from our friend Jared Bukal real quick. He says the Flames have $28 million in cap space. Do you see a signing or two coming for the Flames? You're part of that BOA. You're part of that Battle of Alberta fandom. What do you see the Flames doing anything there, or do you think they move on from like Coleman, Kadri, and try to shoot their shot for this Hagens kid who's next year and the year after? I know we've got Gavin McKenna. So 2 generational players at the top of the next 2 drafts. And by all accounts, I'm not saying this, I'm going to ask you, I've heard the 2025 draft much deeper than this draft and even better.
I would have to. I mean, it's a little bit early, but I know this draft it's a little bit of a weaker draft because there's a lot of players that you just go up and you go, he could be something. Like there's a lot of question marks in this draft class. There's not a lot of certainty besides Celebrini because a lot of these players could be really good, and then a lot of these players could be like an AHL scorer. So moving over, like I think 2025 is gonna be a lot deeper class. Obviously, got Hagens, you got Poster Malone as another guy who's gonna be really good. I know the Swedes are gonna be really good next year as well. I know they had a little bit of a down year in terms of players they pumped out, but next year is gonna be really strong.
Yeah, and what do you think the Flames do, if anything?
They have $20 million in cap space, but also I don't know what they're going in terms of the direction because they might be in a rebuild. They might be in a retail. We don't know. Yeah. But you got 20.
I don't see them adding any big names whatsoever.
I don't think they're not in a position to contend at the moment. So probably just sign the guys.
Safe to say Nikita Zadorov not going to be back on the Flames. That's an interesting name too. Pop in the chat. While you guys are in here, by the way, this is awesome. Epic. We have 41 people in the chat on the YouTube side. We have a handful of people on Instagram. On X, I think we have over 20, 25. So we're up to 60. This is a huge chat. Our friend Bacon, Bacon. We played Shell with Bacon. Great guy. Calgary native. He says he sees Adam Boquist to the Flames. Take a flyer on Adam Boquist.
I think he's been bought out. I've seen news about that. So, I
Yeah, he
guess.
wasn't bought out. He wasn't tendered a qualifying offer.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
he wasn't bought out.
I mean, you could take a flyer on him. I mean, he bounced around 2 teams. If he hasn't done well with Columbus, I don't know if he's going to do well with Flames, but I mean, you could take a flyer on him. Again, the Flames
Yeah.
are not really in a position to be contending at the moment. Looking at an unbiased view, but yeah, you could take a flyer on Boquist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to our friend Brandon Paul, congrats on the new job. Sorry we're keeping you up late. I'm assuming because you're an Islanders fan that you are on the East Coast and it is very, very late there, almost 1 a.m. Hey, but it's not late for us West Coasters. The sun is still out here in Alaska. So here we go. Yes, if you don't know, I'm coming live from Alaska. My friend Rand, he's only at your old mountain time, so you're 2 hours ahead of me. I guess it's about 11 there. Okay. So number 9, we were just talking about the Calgary Flames, our friend Jared Bukal. Zane Parekh. Bacon's in the chat. What do you think of Zane Parekh? I know a lot of people like that one.
I think Zane Parekh is one of the more polarizing players in this draft class, in my opinion, because there's a lot of good things with Parekh, but there's also a lot of bad things with Parekh. I think he has potential to be one of the highest scoring offensive D-man in his draft class. He's able to create, space for himself as an elite puck carrier. He has a good shot and he loves to use it in the offensive zone. His playmaking times is hit or miss. I mean, there's times where he's made like really great high-end passes, and there are other times where he kind of turned it over. And his defensive game is, to say the least, brutal. He's not really engaged in the defensive zone, which is really weird since he's a defenseman. And he's been flat-footed more often than not. But he's a player with high ceiling, but I think he also has a very high floor. So he's one of those players that's very, conflicting for me. And it just depends on how Saginaw kind of develops them, because I think Saginaw is also a bit of an issue too, because how they deploy their players. I know they won the Memorial Cup, but like how they deploy their system is just really weird to me whenever I watch Saginaw play.
You gotta mute yourself, Perlo. Come on, you coming in here? This is my co-host Perloism, also in Edmonton. Yeah, this was an impromptu. This is an impromptu thing. I did not plan this. I should have planned it. And Mr. Tubic was kind enough to grace us with his presence. And just we're talking a little bit of the scouting as we get news in from. Here's a rumor I'm reading. Per Dime Season sources, the New Jersey Devils are looking to make a large free agency splash and sign Jonathan Marchessault 3 times $5 million. That's a rumor that we're reading. That came out 1 minute ago on Twitter. Again, not all these sources are verified or what have you. Yeah, so we just got the news about 3 or 4 minutes ago that Sam Reinhart reached an 8-year extension with the Florida Panthers. Some jackwagon was on here an hour ago telling me we weren't going to hear any news, but we've heard a bunch of news tonight. So, yeah, I just wanted to do a midnight free agency because I thought we would see a little bit of news of guys being signed or not signed by their teams they were on. So that's why we pulled it off, and we're doing a little bit of last-minute stuff here. So. And Bacon was just Ryan Tubeck, Mr. Ray Bro here, was walking us through his thoughts. Now, number 10, I already know Perlo's opinion on this guy. He thought he should have went number 2 overall in Anton Silyev. Where are you at with Anton Silyev?
I think he's a unicorn. You just, you don't see a guy like Silyev ever. He's a 6'7" guy who's really his skating is very fluid.
Hey, the Caps drafted a 6'7" guy in Miroslav Shatan, Miro's son. I'm just saying. No, they're out there. He's a forward, but yeah. Go ahead.
But like Silyev, like his skating ability is just amazing. How he uses edges and his four-way mobility, and he has a good first pass in the breakout zone. However, I don't know how much offense is going to be there in the NHL. I think it's very limited. I don't see him as a guy who's going to be putting up points, which he's 6'7", and if he plays the defensive game, which he's been really solid at in the KHL and MHL, then that's probably fine. I think that's probably where a good selection were to pick him up with New Jersey. And I kind of felt like New Jersey should have been contending this year. So they must have thought like, hey, let's throw out a pick here. We don't really need it. Let's pick someone fun, and Silyaev is really fun for sure. I think he's a guy who's probably gonna get like 20 to 25 points, but he could
They
be
don't
really
need points
reliable.
for defensemen in that
Yeah,
team, no.
for sure. I think he's gonna be a guy who's gonna bring stability defensively in the top pairs, or not top pair, but in the middle pair for sure. So I like Silyaev. I wouldn't pick him higher than where he is right now, but
Yeah. Perlo, go ahead. You can give your 2 cents on why you love him, everybody that's here, because we've got a lot of people that have popped on.
That's the reason why I just think his offense is higher than a lot of people think that he is. I think he could be a 40-point guy. He reminds me, like I said, of he could be a Chara, something like that. He's mean. He's difficult to play against. He's huge. He can skate like the wind. I guess his floor would be like Tyler Myers. That would be his floor. If that's all he turns out to, then I guess you picked him at the right spot here. But I think he's much bigger than that. I think he's got more to give than a Tyler Myers or something like that. But we'll see. I know a lot of people are saying that his offense may not reach where you want it to be, and that's the reason why he dropped to 10. But I think his offense will actually be better than people think. And they said the same thing about Chara when he got drafted. That's why the Islanders.
It took a long time for him to come around too, though. But I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. They're gonna have to have some patience here, but okay. Yeah. So the Marchessault news is interesting. The news that the Vegas Golden Knights are going to go after Stamkos is interesting. Let's go into number 11, Sam Dickinson. I saw a lot of people praising this pick. Oh, by the way, I don't want to gloss over this. Bacon says Zane Parekh is the next Cale Makar, he thinks. Okay. But we know he's biased being a Flames fan, so it's okay. We're going to let him have it. What do you think of Sam Dickinson, real quick?
Yeah, with Sam Dickinson, obviously he's a London Knight, so he's obviously picked. He should have been picked higher. No, I'm just kidding. But he's a guy who's gonna bring, he's a guy who's gonna bring stability to your play, or deep pair. He's a guy who could, have munching minutes, reliable on both sides of the ice. His puck protection in the offensive zone is solid. He knows how to create offense in the offensive zone. His slap shot excites me for sure. His defensive zone's even better too. He's great at killing zone entries made by attackers, using his reach and his active stick to lead forwards to a spot where they can neutralize them. In terms of his playmaking ability, it's kind of hit or miss. He's gotten better at it, but I think I like to see him a little bit better in terms of his playmaking ability, whether it be his first pass, neutral zone play. But overall, I think this is a great pick where he's been picked at. So yeah.
Real quick, just 6 hours ago, interesting that this came up. I don't know why. There's no change in the status about Joe Quenneville and Stan Bowman. Although see their high-ranking league executives tell me that could change in the very near future. Bowman has been linked to the Oilers GM vacancy. What do you think about Stan Bowman coming in to be the Oilers GM?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I don't. It sounds like Jeff Jackson does not want to be the full-time GM there. I'm just curious to get your opinion.
Well, yeah, but also it's Stan Bowman and everything that happened with Chicago. That's not a good look. I wouldn't want to hire a guy like that, and I don't think the mansion would either.
I would just like to see his draft record. I know. Also, I know with that whole story there coming out of Chicago, I think a lot of blame got Quenneville, I thought, took an unfair amount of blame where his role was almost nothing in it. And I know the letter and stuff. I understand that, but we're talking about a coach that's won 3 Stanley Cups, but all practical sense of the word is a very good human being off the ice. So it's going to be real. I mean, I understand we live in a society where everybody gets canceled now and there's no coming back, but the guy still has to live his life. He's still a very good hockey coach. I'd like to see him out there, but commonly noted, if you take Scotty Bowman out of it in the salary cap era, there has never been another Stanley Cup coach that has taken another team to a Stanley Cup and won, having won one before. So, Bowman obviously did it with the Red Wings and the Penguins and et cetera, and so on. And I don't consider his 70s wins with Montreal the salary cap era, but he won multiple Stanley Cups with multiple teams. No one else has done it. I mean, Peter Laviolette hasn't done it. John Tortorella hasn't done it. Those are some of the good U.S. coaches. Paul Maurice, one of the greatest records of a coach ever, just won his first one. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. Barry Trotz, obviously he's the GM now, so he's not in that mix. I thought this was the steal of the draft. I saw this kid play in the finals, in the quarterfinals in Minnesota. Zeev Buium to the Minnesota Wild. What did you think here? What do you think of Zeev Buium? I'm curious to think of what you see about his. Leave a like, subscribe, throw in a comment. I'm trying to get to you guys. I agree with Avi. The Sharks are going to be fun to watch in a few years. Thought Greer had a great draft this draft. So
Yeah, it was Zeev Buium. I have him at third on my rankings. I think he's the best D-man in this draft class, personally.
I agree.
He has one of the higher upsides. I lean more to him than someone like Parekh, in my opinion, and brings more to the table than Parekh. I think Zeev Buium is a poised defender who's dynamic with his four-way mobility, with his skating. He excels at moving the puck compared to other defenders like Sam Dickinson and Parekh, and he's just an offensively gifted individual. There is some concerns. His defensive game and his physicality is a concern, but I don't see Buium as a guy who's going to be there like in his draft year, draft plus 1 year. I think he's a guy that I'm not worried about his physicality being concerned or his defensive game, just because he has time to improve at it at Denver. So
we interrupt this draft coverage to this was planned not to do draft coverage, but it's better to have multiple voices. Little rumors out there that Stolarz may be going to Toronto, or Brossoit, each to get around 3 to 4 million, 3 to 4 year deal. I'm sorry, 3 to 4 million at 4 years, 3 to 4 years for each guy, Stolarz and Brossoit. Don't know what your thoughts are there. Perlo, why don't you mull that over? Could not agree more. Ryan, I will say this, man, when I see a player play in person is where I really feel like I get an assessment. When I saw McDavid lose in the speed competition to the kid from St. Louis, I can't think of it. It's Jordan Kyrou at the All-Star game. One, I thought McDavid looked hungover, and two, I was like, wow, that kid is very fast. That Kyrou kid is way faster than I ever thought. He's a very fast player. Buium was incredible. I single-handedly, that defensive plan, just the way they played, I think a higher skilled teams in BU and in Boston College, and just incredible. My friend, one of our other co-hosts, Perlo, and I, our friend Mike, we call him the degenerate Bostonian. He saw a lot of games this year for BU and lives in that Boston area, and saw Denver come in, and they were great. Excuse me. I cannot say enough nice things about this Buium kid. He's won a championship at the junior level, and now he's won a national championship here at the college level. And I honestly think Bill Guerin, the rumors were they were going to trade out of that pick, and Buium, and he's like, no, we like the player. So he pulled the trigger, and they liked the player. So what about number 13, Jet Luchenko for the Flyers?
He is a guy,
a bit of a reach, right?
He is a guy that I'm surprised where he was picked, but I liked watching him in Guelph.
Okay.
He's a guy that he has pace. He's a great forechecker. He moves the puck well. He just knows how to make passes really well. He's just a smart player. I personally would not have picked him there, but I think it's not a bad pick from the Flyers to pick Luchenko for sure. And I think he'll be really well with Michkov in the future.
Julian McKenzie says, I was joking with Jesse Granger at the draft that I can't wait for the book he'll write about this team, talking about the Vegas Golden Knights. The thought of Marchessault in another jersey will be weird, but this will be all part of the game for Vegas Golden Knights. And Jesse Grainer said the Vegas Golden Knights franchise leader in goals, assists, points, game-winning goals, and games played, and the 2023 Conn Smythe winner should have been Eichel, will become an unrestricted free agent tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Again, that doesn't mean they don't bring him back, but still very crazy. Okay, Luchenko, Consta Helenius for the Buffalo Sabres at 14. Perlo really liked this guy. We thought he was a top 10 guy. Where were you looking at him? Where'd you have him in your rankings?
Yeah, he is a top. Well, he's just out of my top 10. He's 11 for my board. He's up there for the smartest player in this draft class, such as, Catton, Celebrini. He's great on offensive transitions, starting out the offense with his give and go passes to the new, the offensive zone. And he can create space for himself using his edges and continue his offense to flow. But I think the issue with his game is that with pressure, he could, be pressured and lose the puck more prone. I think he needs to work on puck possession in terms of under stress or pressure. And I think he needs to improve on his skating a little bit. He's a little bit, his skating isn't bad per se, but it could be a lot better for sure. So that's something I would like to see moving forward for him.
Michael Brandisek Nygaard just felt like a Detroit Red Wings pick, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bronsek Newgard is a guy I really liked going forward. He's a guy he's a two-way guy, aggressive forechecker. He could just do it all, honestly. He's great on the defensive zone. His positioning is top tier. He's one of my favorite guys for sure. And I think with someone like Detroit, he brings a lot of stability in the top six for sure. He's a guy, he uses his size effectively to punish defenders. His puck possession is amazing. He's not, I will say, he plays the game effectively. He there's no flash or fanciness to his game, but he plays the game with purpose, if that makes sense. Overall, I think he's a really solid pick for Detroit, and I think he'd be a really stable NHL guy who's going to be there for a long time.
He might be the safest. He might be the safest pick in the draft. He's almost certainly going to play in the NHL.
For sure.
Hey, Avi, thanks for coming. Appreciate it. I know it's getting late on the East Coast for a lot of you guys. Appreciate you. Obviously, we're live here. We're talking. I love the insight from Perlo, and Mr. Chubak does this for a living when he's not getting himself through college. So I appreciate him coming on last minute just to he popped in the chat. I was like, hey, come on, give us some draft stuff while we're waiting for some more news. I don't know that we're going to hear a ton of new news here. We've been live just for over an hour. We're just going through some picks. Adam Yurachek, number 16, for the St. Louis Blues. What do you think there?
I had him at 6 on my rankings, and he's
You
been
had him 6th. You had him 6th.
Yeah, I was also really high on him. I know he hasn't been the best per se, especially because of his injury after his World Juniors. But I think he could be a solid top 4 D-man down the line. He gets out-muscled by his opponents, but he always has an active stick. He's great defensively when it doesn't come to physicality. And again, just like Buyam, he has 4-way mobility, which is one of the best in this class. He's able to walk the blue line efficiently, knows how to, start up the offense, especially. He could be a quarterback on the power play, I feel like. I think for him, it's just getting more consistent, gaining strength, and just overall building momentum for next season, especially since he's been injured for a while. But overall, I really like him, especially as a puck-moving D-man that could bring you, points.
Yeah.
I had him as Gavrikov. I don't know if I have the offense that high with him, but he's like a Gavrikov type guy. If he gets more offense, then it's great. But that's kind of where I landed him at, somewhere around there.
Okay. Number 17, Tarek Parashak. I think it was a surprise. Caps loved him. Where are you thinking?
I don't even know what they're seeing that makes him this high. I had him very low. I think I had him if I had checked. I had him just after the 50th. I don't know what they're seeing where
Mhm.
they're to select him at number 17. He has good stick handling ability and his shot is solid, but other than that, he's a passenger this whole year. He gets carried by all of his line mates throughout the year. He has not drive the line at all. Um, Basically his teammates do all the work for him. His skating ability, his skating mechanics is just awful. He needs to really work on his skating, and his transitional play isn't the greatest at all. And his IQ is questionable. Again, I don't know how they thought he was a good pick at number 17, but maybe they see something in him that I don't. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know there was a lot of mixed opinions on this. I mean, ultimately, I saw the Caps pretty much average a B plus grade for the rest of the draft. I thought they had a pretty good draft. Obviously, they add some guys too, Mangiapane. They bring in Logan Thompson. So I think part of that draft was they actually brought some in ready NHLers too. They re-signed also today a couple of their AHLers. They won the Calder Cup. I'll say this about the Capitals and just being a fan of that team and knowing they like to bring players up very slowly. So they won't be pushing this kid. This kid is 5 to 8 years away from seeing NHL time if he's as far off as you say. And I don't think the Caps would have a concern about that at all.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that you cannot rush at all. Like he's gonna need a lot.
I think that's their plan. I think that's 1,000,000% their plan.
Yeah,
Again,
the thing is, one thing you've got to say is you can't really argue with Washington's track record for drafting. Like what they're probably top 5 in the league at drafting. So, like whatever I might think, they're probably got. He reminds me of Protas. Like
when they drafted Protas' brother in this draft too. So, okay, so Sasha Boyver to Chicago. You like that pick there?
I like that pick.
I think wrong. Chicago traded back, right?
Yeah, they traded back. I don't know how far they traded back for, but they did trade back. But I like this pick. I think he's a guy who can bring a lot of offense to the game. I think he's going to complement well with Bedard later on. Great shot, great playmaking. His hands are solid. His skating needs work though. He's another guy where they need to get maybe like a skating coach to help him get a little bit faster, get more edges. But how he's been playing, I really liked how he played in the USHL.
Awesome. Trevor Connolly, I know there was some off ice stuff. Vegas has come out and said they did their due diligence. Pretty high end player to get at 19. I know he was all over the board. Where'd you have him? Was the off ice just enough for you that you just stayed away from him, or what did you think here?
What I did was when I was, making my notes and, talking about him, I tried to look at more of his on ice product before looking at his off ice. And for someone like Trevor Connolly, he's very talented, who plays the game really quickly. He has high end pace to his game, keeps defender on his toes with his dangles and stick handling in tight areas. Great solid passer. His transitional play. Obviously, he is a high end offensive winger who could get you a lot of points, but also you gotta keep an account of his track record off the ice and it's like if Vegas did their due diligence, then maybe like they probably talked to him and his agent, but overall he's one of the guys. I have him at 13 based on upside because he is one of the better forwards in this draft class, but you can't really ignore his off ice issues per se.
Yeah, no, I got you there. You'd like to believe the team that says they do their due diligence. It happens. Let's get Perlo back in. Okay, Perlo, there you are. Cole Eiserman at 20. I know Perlo doesn't like this guy, so he's all team Perlo. But the fact that he's an elite goal scorer, I think sometimes that is the hardest thing to be taught. And a lot of people were praising this, especially at 20 for Lou Lamoriello and Cole Eiserman. What'd you think here? And where'd you have
I think he's a guy who I'm also like very conflicted. In this draft class, he has the best shot in this draft class. He might not be the best goal scorer. I think Lindstrom is better at that, but he has the best shot by far. And he's a guy that needs someone to be a trigger man. So he needs someone to be passing him the puck a lot. Because I don't see any play driving. He's not a playmaker by any means. His defensive game is questionable at best. He's physical, he likes to be physical at times. But overall, I think he's a guy who's very situational. He needs to be put in the right conditions to succeed. And if he doesn't get those conditions, then it wouldn't be surprising if he just doesn't churn out anything. He ends up being like an Oliver Wahlstrom.
Yeah, and that's funny that the Islanders picked him. Would you agree with me that his ceiling is like a Tarasenko, something like that?
If he can hit it, yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Tarasenko, he's a free agent, so we're going to find out where he goes. Matt Larkin has an article up already on the Florida re-signing. Obviously, we don't have the details yet, but 6 seconds ago that dropped. The other free agents for the Florida Panthers defending Cup champions are Brandon Montour, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Vladimir Tarasenko, Anton Lundell, and Josh Mahura. Mahura and Lundell are restricted free agents. So, we'll get to Seattle. I don't know if we're going to go through the second round picks there, Jared, but I was surprised Seattle passed on Bouillon, but you said a lot of great things about Catton. I think a lot of scouts were pretty high on Catton, and
I would have picked Catton on that spot over Bouillon, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, and I saw our friends at Emerald City Hockey, our friend Dylan Travers, they gave a pretty big breakdown where Catton would really be a good guy to play with the kid from Michigan, Matty Beniers. So yeah. Okay, Michael, is it Hagee?
Hage.
Michael Hage. Now, I know he had lost his father, and there was some connection to Montreal there too, or?
Yeah, his dad is a Montreal fan.
Okay, so his father passed away, and they get him. So that was a pretty cool story. They get him. What did you? They get Demidov at 5. That's a W. Hayes who's probably part of that trade for Monahan, right? So they get another pick. Monahan generates another. What did you think there? And
I liked Michael Hage.
Okay.
He's a guy with skill. He has really good hands. Good shot. He knows how to create space for himself. Great middle ice play as a center for the Chicago Steel. I liked what he bring to the table. I know he had surgery for his hip like a while ago, so his skating isn't up to par. So I can give him some leeway on that. But if he can improve on his skating, I think he's a guy who's going to bring you a lot of scoring in like the close and mid-range spot. I think there's a lot of upside, but we just leave him in college, let him marinate, and then he could be a really solid key piece for Montreal with Demidov.
Yeah, I mean, I had the good fortune of talking to Kent Hughes at the Frozen Four. Unbelievable. Just to get his thoughts on Lane Hudson and stuff. So really cool. I just don't think that him and Gorton are making bad picks. I mean, I know Perlo and I are both really big on that team. I just think they're, we talk about top 5 general manager presidential pairs in the NHL, and I just feel like it's only a matter of time before Montreal is competing for cups again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Especially with guys like Suzuki, Caulfield, now Demidov. They're in the mix for sure. Defensively, Hudson, Cooley, like they have a solid future for sure, and they're slowly.
Yeah, and that Mayu kid, I know he had some problems off ice. He looks like he's going to shape into a pretty good player, and
I think Montreal is in a better spot than the Sens are, to be honest. Yeah,
yeah, buddy. Yeah. I don't think you get a lot of disagreement. Okay, Igor Surin for the Nashville Predators just sounds like a player the Predators would draft, by the way.
I think it was a bit surprising where they picked him, but I kind of like it. Because he's a guy who I think is upside to be a middle six player. He has a little bit of offensive pop to his game. He loves hitting. He's a big guy. He using his body through traffic. He's able to protect the puck like a power forward a little bit. He's able to, stick handle really well. So I think he's a guy where he's very physical, causes turnovers on both ends. And I think Nashville got a great player. Not a great. I think he got a guy who could be a complementary player in the middle six. And I think where they picked him, that's not a bad spot.
All right. Perlo, you have anything on CERN? I know we already did our draft stuff, so we did a live draft 4 hours. So you said everything you wanted to say about all these players. It wasn't expected. I just wanted to talk a little this free agent stuff that was leaking and that was coming out that we were going to get. So I made this decision with less than a minute to go before midnight Eastern time.
Well, I just had to come on because I was surprised to see who was on, and I was like, what? I want to come on and talk.
I wasn't going to reach out to you, Enrico. I wasn't going to reach out to you, Enrico. Yeah, it was just a last minute decision here, but we've done really well. 65 people have been with us this whole time, riding with us.
Yeah, CERN's that middle six guy that can do pretty. He's like a utility type guy.
Yeah,
like he can go up and down the lineup. Like there's lots. Need a rider, if he can get up to that level, somewhere around there. Yeah, great pick. Yeah.
So 23, which I believe was originally Toronto's pick, they traded back. The Anaheim Ducks draft Stein Solberg. What'd you think here?
I think it's a great pick. I have Solberg higher than 28. I think his guy, first off, his personality.
He was drafted 23, but yes, go ahead. Yeah,
I think his personality is awesome. I think he's just a cool dude. He's a funny guy. I don't know personally, just based on the interviews and a lot of the stories I hear from other people, but he's a guy who's gonna be punishing in the NHL. I think he's a physical guy with good mobility. He has a good shot, and he's put, just like Brunswick Newgard, they put Norway on the map for sure as a hockey country for sure. He's done really well in the World Juniors. He's actually done fantastic, not in the World Juniors.
You don't think was that Matt Zuccarello put Norway on? I don't know.
Yeah, he did, but obviously they're looking like guys that are growing the game for Norway for sure. I really like Solberg. I know Recruit had him higher from the start more than other people, and it's great that now a lot more people have gotten on to Solberg's game. But yeah, he's a guy, left shot D-man. I think you can't complain of what he brings at that spot.
Okay, I really appreciate everybody coming on. Leave a like, subscribe. This is Ryan Tubeck from recruitscouting.com. He's an Edmontonian. I've got my co-host Perlo Wisdom, Steve Duncan, one of the best handicappers out there, joining us.
You're from Edmonton, dude? You're from Edmonton?
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, you didn't. He's been on with us before, Perlo.
We got to have some coffee or something like that. Solberg is Zadorov. That's what I would say. He's in that range. So.
Okay, yeah, Steve. I don't have a favorite hot dog company, but I will talk. Let's talk about Cole Beaudoin going to the Utah Hockey Club. What do you think there?
I think he's a leader. I think he's a guy who's a leader in the the locker room for sure for Barrie Colts. He's a guy on the ice. He's physical. He's a guy who's gonna be he's another guy who's just gonna be an NHL for a long time. I just kind of feel like it. He's a guy who's gonna bring stability again in the middle six area. He plays the game with a lot of effort. Plays the game with a lot of with an edge, a chip on his shoulder for sure. He's just a straightforward guy. There's not much more to say because what you're drafting Beaudoin is probably what you're gonna get in the NHL. He's one of the more finished products in the NHL, just like Brunswick Newgard.
Yeah, no, I love it. Our friend Mike Grinnell from Spit and Chicklets, and our friend Mike, the degenerate Bostonian. I butchered that. Our friend Mike from our show, who's our college hockey specialist, loved Dean Letourneau for the Boston Bruins. I think that's where Mike Grinnell wanted to see that guy go there. What'd you think of Letourneau to the Bruins?
I think this is another major reach, especially of where he's played in
Okay.
AAA. If you're drafting a guy from AAA, you got to be really careful because the competition there isn't the greatest. It's arguably way lower than Minnesota hockey, so it's kind of something where you got to be concerned with that. He plays. He said he's models his game after Tage Thompson, and it's you can kind of see it with his mobility. He has a great shot, but again, I kind of have to tread lightly because he's played in AAA, so I don't even know what he's gonna project to. I think he's gonna Boston College. I might be wrong on that, but
Yeah, I think he is going to Boston College.
yeah. So I'm gonna be checking up on him because I'm very curious to see how he does. Especially, it's just a major jump from like AAA all the way to NCAA compared to him going through junior league or the USHL. So
Would you agree
Awesome.
that it'd be kind of like a Jankowski? Something like that, if he does make the
I don't know.
NHL?
I think he has a lot more skill than Jankowski. He has a lot more puck skills, a lot more upside. It's just I'm very again another confliction because just based on the league he plays, I just don't know what you're gonna get with him.
Again, Boston finds these guys though that pan out for him. Though I didn't hear
Yeah.
one. Who was the kid that started off this year for him and played for Canada? He ended up getting hurt, but why his name escapes me. He played in the NHL. He was 19. He did. I didn't hear his name
I think
before.
Mason Laurel. I think
No, not Mason Lowry. No, the kid played center and he played for Team Canada in the World Juniors too.
I think.
Well, Poitras.
Yeah, Poitras, yes.
Poitras, yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Bacon. Poitras. Bacon's in there with us. Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear that kid's name in the draft once, and it just feels like Boston finds these guys. Okay, Liam Greentree seemed like an LA King.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably where they're gonna pick him. He's slide down pretty far down from where I expected him to be.
Where'd you have him in your draft?
I have him on my rankings around. I have him around 17.
Okay,
So
where
actually,
Parashak went. I
Yeah,
thought the
so-
Capitals were going to take this Greentree kid, by the way.
I thought so too, man. I think he's a guy who, again, he doesn't play with the game with a lot of flash, but he uses his body effectively to be kind of like a power forward. There's a lot of power forwards in this draft class, or people who play like a power forward. But if he uses his body well during board play, he's solid on transitional play in the neutral zone. He can get it into the offensive zone with ease. His shot is amazing. I think he has a heavy, fast shot that makes goalies scared. His concern will probably be his pace of play. I think he needs to get a little bit faster. He needs to make quicker decisions, but he can obviously develop that with Windsor next year in the OHL. So
Sure. And he's not going to be up in the NHL anytime soon, I don't think, anyway. Probably a few years out. Merrick Vanaker for the Chicago Blackhawks. Yet another first-round pick for the Blackhawks.
I like Vanaker. I know he had an injury that kind of limited his offense a little bit.
MCL, right? For him,
I think it was an MCL. I'm not too sure on that.
Yeah.
But I know whenever he played with Brantford, there's times where he's been inconsistent. He's kind of disappeared on plays. But whenever he has the puck, I think he's been pretty solid. Good shot. He's just an overall offensive, beast with the Bulldogs. So I like Chicago's pick here, and I think once he starts getting accustomed, be a lot more better off the puck, I think is a great pick, and he could be a solid, second liner.
Awesome. Anything to add, Perlo, on Vanaker?
No, you know what? I'm gonna have to take just go with what he said there. I really wasn't on him at all. I had him a lot lower, and but I give Boston a lot of credit for their.
This was Chicago. This was
Chicago. I mean Chicago, I should say. Yeah. They draft really well. So I had him lower, and I probably am off here after listening to what he said about him. So I'm just going to go with that. It just wasn't a guy that was on my radar. So
you gotta love Kyle Davidson's track record so hard, but you can't mess up Bedard. So it's that pick. But no, I've liked what Korchinski, some guys I've liked what they've drafted there. Okay, Matvey Gridin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm saying that for Calgary.
Yeah.
What do you think there?
I think on my notes on him when I was looking at him, I think he's a guy that he disappears for a long time in a game and then comes in at the right time. Like he's another guy like Vanaker where he needs to be more consistent off the puck. Whenever
But those are taught, right? You can teach that.
Yeah, you can teach that, but he cheats for offense. So I've looked back on him. He cheats a lot for offense, which is something you probably don't want to do in the NHL. But whenever he has the puck, like the things he could do, like the no look passes, the amount of upside he has is just insane. But he needs to be a lot more consistent with his off puck play, being a lot more involved defensively for sure. But I think he could be a complimentary player to a guy like who do they have in Flames? Who's
Huberdeau.
a guy? I mean, I guess with Huberdeau, but they don't have a lot of they have a lot of guys right now who are elite at the moment. I mean, Saragovich, he could do well with Saragovich.
Yeah, that Sharagovich really did well for Zari. Really like Zari.
Yeah, Zari. Yeah.
Yep, Bacon's in the chat reminding us that there's still some very good talent there. And
Coronado.
It's not over for the Flames. They're not far away from really getting back to this.
They're close. Like if they're of like 90% of the prospects hits, like they're probably a cup contender.
I mean, I thought they got a pretty good solid trade for Lindholm and maybe they didn't get a ton for Zadorov, but anyway, I'm curious where you got. I'll ask you that when we're done here. We're very close to and I know we had a question earlier in the thing about Emil Hemming, but we're getting to him now. What did you think of Emil Hemming, Dallas Stars?
So I had Hemming around 20th on my board. I liked Hemming, but he's also another guy who's very inconsistent. He's a guy who brings a nice offensive game with some edge. He has a sneaky quick release that's able to fool goalies, and if he can't shoot the puck, he's able to make great passes to his teammates in high danger areas. But he doesn't go out of his way to attack the middle of the ice. I think that's what I kind of see. He's more of a perimeter player, which I need to get him. He needs to be a lot more involved in the middle of the ice where the dangerous areas are. But he does use his body effectively to separate pucks from opponents or use it for puck protection. He could drive to net really well because he has nice straight line speed. He pressures well defensively as well too, but again, he needs to be more consistent. One shift he's everywhere on the ice, and then the next shift he's a ghost. So I liked Hemming. He's also a guy who needs a lot of development, but you're picking him at that area. So
the only thing I can say about that is I'm not going to question anything Dallas does. I have no reason.
Yeah, I mean,
they hit on everything.
I mean, they just keep giving the general manager of the year award to Jim Nill because they look at his entire team being. But you know what? Hey, let's give Ken Holland some credit. The Edmonton Oilers were filled with a bunch of draft picks. I know he didn't draft Connor McDavid and stuff, but again, hard to screw that one up, Chiarelli or whoever drafted David.
I'm really, I'm a fan of what Dallas has done with their drafting. I had Stankoven in the first round. I think I'm at number 8.
Well,
where did you have Robertson when they drafted him?
Jason Robertson. I wasn't honestly. I think I was still in elementary. I wasn't as involved.
Oh, you were too young at that time.
I wasn't involved as I was now. So
you were scouting Robertson, the old vet. You're making. Between Perlo and I, we're about 90 years old. Here.
I didn't know how old you were, but so you had Stankoven number 8. You had Stankoven number 8 though.
I had him number 8. I was really high on more than others for sure.
That's
real quick. Cool. If you're just joining us, we have Ryan Tubik from Recruit Scouting. I have it in there. You can go to recruitscouting.com and check out his stuff. I put his Twitter handle in the scroll screen. I've got Pearl of Wisdom to be able to jump on. Our Rico probably sleeping again. This was a last-minute planned stream by me. I knew there would be some news that broke past midnight, and I wanted to just chat with. And then Mr. Tubik was so kind to come on and give us our thoughts on the draft. We're down to the final 3 here. Leave a like, subscribe. EJ Emery for the New York Rangers. I really like this. I heard a lot of comparisons to Keandre Miller. Kind of funny that he's on a team with Keandre Miller now, or will be if he makes it. What do you think of EJ Emery?
I think he's a guy where he's probably going to be your defensive defenseman. But there's a lot of errors to his game he needs improvements on based on my notes here. But I think he could be an effective defensive defenseman that could bring stability to your bottom or middle pair. Could work well with Andre Miller. I think that's also really solid as a shutdown pair. He just needs to be a better puck moving. Like his offensive game and his puck moving game is also non-existent, but like Silyaev, you're probably going to be drafting the guy just for his defensive game, and in that case, you're not going to argue with that. I mean, you look at Tanev, he's brought stability to Dallas. So if you get someone like if you can get a Tanev out of Emery, I wouldn't be too mad.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you say the name Tanev on the defensive side, I think you get about 32 teams going, yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought the Rangers drafted well under Gordon and stuff. And I questioned some of Drury's moves, but I like this pick here. Ben Danford, Toronto Maple Leafs, they trade back. What do you think here? I kind of don't want to doubt their scouting either, because Easton Cowan, I feel like.
With Danford, he is a reach. He's also another reach. Not as bad as Parasak, but he's also a guy where it's like, I guess I gotta wait and see how the Leafs, develop this guy. I personally, I just see him as a guy who could be just a bottom pair D man, but he does have some nice puck rushing ability. He has nice puck protection. He has good size on him, but he's another question mark. I wouldn't have picked him that high.
Where did you have Danford? They're obviously reaching on potential here.
I had Danford around in the 3rd round.
Oh wow!
I had him. Yeah, I had him.
You got him in the 90s then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have him around the 90s.
Okay.
Danford's a pure character pick.
Yeah.
He's got all the character in the world, but I mean, he's a big project on the ice, big time. But I mean,
they're probably going to get a bottom pair guy out of him, honestly, which I guess it's fine, but you could probably get other players at that pick who are going to probably be in a better position or can offer more.
Who would you have picked there?
On the table, I mean, Chernyshov is probably one guy there, but if you had to pick a D-man.
Yeah, we were really surprised he slipped to the 2nd round. Obviously, San Jose gets him. Another player I thought the Capitals might draft at 17. Yeah. They're not afraid to take Russians. Sam O'Reilly to your Edmonton, your and Perlo's Edmonton Oilers. I didn't hear anybody chide this pick at all. They trade back up into the 1st round to get this player. What did you think there?
I think he's a guy where, for a split second, I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted a guy like Stiga or Bodenka on that spot. But I'm not too mad about O'Reilly. I mean, he had shelter minutes with London, but in those sheltered minutes, he's shown that he has some skill to his game. He could be a middle top 6 guy. He has good hands, good shot, knows how to protect the puck well. I'm just seeing here. He's just someone like Baudouin and Vanacker, where he's just physical and he has skills that impress. Once I started looking at him a lot more after the draft, I looked at some of his games. I kind of really like him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he blows up in terms of his offensive production in the OHL next year.
I like the pick simply because it's a pick that the Oilers normally would not take. This is a 2-way guy. This is probably a third.
Well, that's what they need now in that lineup too, though. They don't need a single amount of offense at all.
And not only that, I mean, they have to make sure that the player they pick wants to come to Edmonton. It's not the most fancy place to want to come to. So, there might have been other options that they didn't take simply because of that, but this guy wants to come here. So, but if you're looking at 2-way guys that can play both ends of the ice, I thought it was it's not a normal pick that they would have taken before. And that's what I like about it. They're actually looking at the whole game of a player. So in that way, I like that pick. Yeah.
Okay. That concludes the 1st round and Mr. Tubeck's draft assessment. We're not going to go through any more of the rounds, but why don't you just give us a couple outliers that you think we'll see sooner or later in the NHL and make a big impact that were in your list there? And then just did you publish this? Did you put this your top?
We have our draft guide that we have done for recruit scouting. That we have published for the draft guide. So it's definitely cool to see looking back for next year how these guys would do. In terms of guys maybe in the first round that has been selected, I mean, besides Celebrity and Demidov, I think guys like let's see here, Buyam is another guy I'm excited for. Catton, obviously. I'm a bit curious about Perek, how he does his D+1 year. Bronzik Newgar is probably going to be a guy who's going to be in the NHL and in the next 1 or 2 years, just based on
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just talking maybe guys we didn't talk about either, like second or third or fourth.
Oh, round. In that case, I mean Stiga, Badenka, those guys, Andrew Basha.
Okay.
Those three come to mind. Right.
Where did Stiga went to Nashville?
Yeah, he went to Nashville. Yeah.
23rd in the second round.
Yeah.
So what is that, like 50 something?
It's in the 50s.
55. Flames won the draft, Bacon says. Which is good. But if you're a Flames fan and you love how they draft, you feel good about your team. So Stiga, Bodenka, where did he go?
Bendigo was pretty early on by the Canes. I know for that.
Oh yeah, he was second. He was second.
Yeah.
He was the second pick in this.
Yeah,
in this
I
draft.
really liked. He was the favorite player on my board. I really liked Badenka. Him and Herman Truff.
Where'd you have him ranked in your draft rankings?
Badenka, I had him at 18.
Oh wow,
he's a right shot big D man who can bring you offense, puck moving. Not as much offense as a guy like Buyam, but he's a guy who's gonna pitch in. He's great defensively, good mobility. I think he's a really solid D man, and the Canes stole another of them. They stole another player. So
yeah, they tend to draft well too, don't they?
I was gonna ask you what was your favorite goaltender in the draft?
Favorite goaltender. I usually consult the goaltending with my friend David Phillips. But from what he's told me, either Vinny or Gardner.
Okay, yeah, I heard a lot of good things about Gardner, even though he's a little undersized. Wasn't he the first goalie to go to?
I think to I don't know to who though. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'll get it for you here. Let's see if it's letting me do it here.
Let's see here.
Oh, I had it right there.
To Columbus.
Columbus Blue Jackets got him.
Yeah, so 4 picks earlier than the next best goalie, or arguably the first best goalie, Emil Finney. Those two guys are really solid.
The Oilers got Vinny, but you gotta
which I'm happy. Yeah,
because you just bought out Jack Campbell. Although you gotta love what Skinner did in the playoffs this year. I know, I know he was terrible the first 2 rounds. But he was very good in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I didn't think he was even bad in the games they lost.
I think his best series was Dallas. I think he was really great with Dallas.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much. Like you said, leave a like, subscribe. We went a little bit longer. We went about an hour 45, but I really appreciate you popping on, giving us some of your analysis. Check out that that draft guide from Recruit Scouting. For 2025, going to be starting to do that. Who do you have number 1 overall? I'm guessing James Hagens.
Probably James Hagens. I'll probably take a break though from scouting for probably like a month before I get on to the Holinka tournament.
Enjoy your summer, and come on with us again sometime.
For sure.
It was super good to have you, man, and it was great to have you. I always enjoyed you. I don't see you as much on these chats or stuff, but I'm busy too and all that. So Perlo, thanks for jumping on last minute. Again, I didn't plan this, so it wasn't planned. I didn't plan a Sunday night stream at 8 p.m. Alaska time, but I knew we were going to get some stuff. So and it's coming out, it's matriculating. We're seeing a bunch of stuff. It's going to be crazy. We're going to see some huge names, Stamkos, Marchessault, going to different destinations potentially. So I'm not ruling out Stamkos back to Tampa, but it is going to be weird.
I think he goes to Nashville. That's that seems to be the most.
I mean, if Vegas is in the mix and Detroit's in the mix, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not going to pick anymore.
Well, you never can count out Vegas for anything.
I just Ryan Pike says Oliver Shillington will be testing the free agent. There's a really solid defenseman.
Shillington.
Ryan jumped off.
Great.
Yeah, he'd be a nice one. Yeah, he jumped off. Thanks for being on, Ray, bro. Appreciate you so much. Again, his socials are there. Perlo, thanks for coming on last minute. I'm going to call it an evening. I may be on with Hot Take Hockey tomorrow. Sometimes we tag team it and work it together. But if not, I'll be watching all the stuff like you. And then Perlo, me, and Rico will be back probably Tuesday to do a draft recap / not really a draft recap. We kind of did a draft show, but a free agent frenzy recap. So maybe Tuesday we get all the boys, Perlo, Occupancy, Boston DGen, and of course Rico. Get everybody involved. Probably our usual 10 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks so much for being with us. We're growing, man. I mean, dude, this whole time we had like 60 people to chat. So I really appreciate everybody hanging out. Yeah, especially for one I didn't plan. Everybody is addicted to this stuff, man. That's because we all grew up playing the video games, and we all love the free agency off-season stuff more than we love the season sometimes. Especially if you're a fan, it's easier to cope. So we have hope and desire and stuff. So appreciate everybody coming out, and have a good one, man. Thank you very much.
That kid is a shit, man.
Yeah, he's right there in your hometown. Yeah, he's been doing this stuff for like fucking 3 years. So,
what's he like, 19 or 20 or so? How old is that kid?